FPL Gameweek31 Team Selection on the FPL Joe YouTube channel. With last night's European fixtures now finished, we now have a guaranteed confirmation of the 4 teams blanking this week. That's Manchester City, Crystal Palace, Arsenal and Wolves. We'll be going through all the options available to you, the best players to buy as replacements, what to do if you can't reach 11 players with your free transfers and whether you should be taking a hit or not, plus my verdict on the best moves for every chip strategy and team structure, whether you've still got your wildcard, free hit, both or neither. And of course, all timestamps are in the description if you want to skip to a specific part. So let's kick off with a quick recap of Gameweek 30 to see what we're working with my team. 68 points all out, a massive green arrow up from 85k to 54k. After weeks of stagnating in the 75 to 100k range, finally a sizable jump back towards my season goal of a top 10k finish. Bruno is my team's MVP this week, adding another 2 assists to his tally for the Premier League season, now up to 16. That breaks United's records for assist in a single Premier League season, previously held by Beckham, and eyes up Henry's record of 20 with 8 games left to play. Since returning from injury in Gameweek 21, he's only blanked twice, which is incredibly consistent. And elsewhere in the team, another clean sheet for Arsenal, but sadly Timber went off injured in the first half, so I didn't get the usual points gain from the triple Arsenal defence, given that Gabriel is near 100% effective ownership and Raya's at around 40. Luckily, they were blanking this week anyway, so it was a planned sell regardless, with a plan to buy him back on the wildcard in Gameweek 32. One player that I won't be buying on wildcard, however, is Chalobah. Failing to get a single return in the 7 weeks that I've owned him, and then getting injured in the dying minutes of Chelsea's tie with PSG, right before the 1 game week that I really needed him for. And to add insult to injury, at that point, they were already down 8-2 on aggregate. He'll also therefore be forced to leave my team in Gameweek 31 so that I can reach 11 starters, and I'll be staying well clear of the Chelsea defence even when their likely double rolls around in Gameweek 33. Elsewhere, yet another return for Hill. I first recommended him back in Gameweek 21 as a player to watch, sitting at just 0.6% ownership and with only 28 points to his name. And well, in the last 8 game weeks, he's gone on to score a whopping 53 points, the highest of any defender over that run, and level with the must-have Gabriel. And lastly, returns for both Brentford attackers, rounding off the game week with 14 points on the Monday night fixture. In reality, it should actually have been quite a lot more. Thiago missed 2 big chances, one of which was created by Dango, but nevertheless, a really solid performance from those assets who'd been otherwise quite quiet in recent weeks. And now for the not so good. Liverpool were uninspired in a 1-1 draw against rock-bottom form Spurs, taking the lead early with a free kick from Sobo, but ultimately creating just 1 big chance all game before conceding in the 90th minute to drop the clean sheet. Similarly absent, Haaland was nowhere to be seen against West Ham, and it's evident that the lack of service that he's been receiving is becoming a major frustration for him. His biggest chance came in the 90th minute as he unleashed a powerful volley, but it was saved by Mavropanos' face, leading to undoubtedly one of the best photos this season, and luckily he was fine to continue after 2. So let's move on to Gameweek 31 to discuss the first blanks of the season. And as we can see from my team, there are 2 immediate issues. After filling my bench with blanking players and non-playing players, that's the players who never get any minutes, in my case Guiu, I'm left with only 9 players left. That was supposed to be 10, but with Chalobah now injured, he's another player that I'll need to move on. So before we go any further into my transfers, let's have a quick look at the upcoming fixtures because they're going to impact everyone slightly differently. There are a lot of factors that keep this up in the air, such as European participation, TV schedules, Premier League preferences, and so on. So to save you all of that, here's the bases that we're currently working on. I've highlighted 6 teams, and these are the ones who are expected to have a fixture clash in Gameweek 34. That's Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City, as we're expecting them to progress to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, plus whichever team they were due to play in the league that week. That's Newcastle, Brighton, and Burnley. And these are also the teams that are most likely to have a double game week in Gameweek 33. It's also worth mentioning that both Leeds and West Ham could also have their fixture clash in Gameweek 34, but it's more likely that they'll be able to play that fixture in the midweek, so they're unlikely to get a double as a result of that. So as for those 6 teams, the least certain of those is Man City and Burnley, but as City blanked this week anyway, you shouldn't be buying them regardless. It does mean, however, that if you've got the likes of Haaland and aren't put off by his recent form, there is some incentive to bench him this week and hold him through the blank, especially if you're not on wildcard in Gameweek 32. And that leads nicely onto transfers. There are a few things to consider about your team and chips to determine what moves you should or shouldn't be making this week. If you still have both your wildcard and your free hit, firstly, if you've already got 11 starters, I'd just be rolling. Secondly, if you've not got 11 starters, start by using your free transfers to get there. And if you can't reach 11 using just free transfers, the only 4 players who I consider taking a hit for are Gordon, Chow, Wilson, and Anderson. That's 2 attacking threats from teams with the best fixtures this week, and 2 of the best DEFCON assets from the same teams. These are the only 4 players who I'd say offer you a strong chance of a return, plus more, on that -4 hit investment. If you've already used your wildcard, rolling as many transfers as possible is even more valuable. But if you again can't get to 11 starters without transfers this week, then these are the players that I'd be going for, if you like the idea of a bench boost in Gameweek 33, which is currently the most popular strategy. Those are João Pedro, Palmer, Gordon, Chow, Welbeck, Van Hecke, Verbruggen, and Calvert-Lewin. And if you've not got your wildcard or your free hit, just focus on picking players who you can hold comfortably for the rest of the season and do everything you possibly can to roll each week, because those free transfers are even more vital in your case. Calvert-Lewin's a great example of that, as Leeds have the best fixture run from now until the end of the season. But the absolute most important thing about chips this week, above all else, don't use any. As seen in the projected odds, taken from my upcoming live odds projection tool coming very soon, this is simply not a high scoring game week to be targeting, with no teams projected to score more than 2 goals, and only 2 teams with clean sheet odds over 40%. They're going to be massively more valuable in future game weeks, so hold fire. Now as for my team, I've got 2 defender spots to move on, in the form of Chalobah and Timber, and I'll be following my own advice from earlier, targeting this week's best picks by transferring Timber to Anderson and Chalobah to Chow. And then on to Captaincy, looking at predicted points courtesy of FPL Review and Fantasy Football Hub. Yet again, I've no doubts about my captaincy this week, and I'll be going with Bruno Fernandes. Not only is he a must-own pick in FPL right now, the only player I give that title to besides Gabriel, but there are also reasonable shouts for him being the new go-to set-and-forget captain going forwards, owing to Haaland's poor run of form, at very least until Haaland has a double game week or shows some actual promise. And for vice-captain, it's on Wilson, back from injury and with the best fixture in the FPL calendar. And that'll wrap up my blank Gameweek 31 team selection. Drop a comment with any final questions that you need answering for your team in Gameweek 31, and I'll respond with my thoughts before the deadline. If you enjoyed the video, dropping a like does wonders for helping the algorithm show this video to other FPL managers, and if you do want to see more from me, get subscribed to the channel. I only put out 1 or 2 videos maximum per week, summarising all of my thoughts, research and analysis into a quick, easily digestible video. And I'm pushing to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and I really appreciate all the support until then. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again after the international break as we prepare for Game Week 32, where I'm planning to activate my wildcard for the final time this season. Best of luck, and fingers crossed for another green arrow.